All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we are going deep into a genre that's all about thrills and spectacle. Action movies. You know those films that just get your heart racing, with car chases and fights and explosions that just shake the room. But we're not just talking about mindless mayhem here. We're going to explore how action movies evolved, the different flavors it offers, and what makes some action films truly unforgettable.
It's fascinating how action movies deliver that pure entertainment, but often tap into these primal instincts we all have. The desire to see good overcome evil, the thrill of witnessing incredible feats, and that almost childlike fascination we have with danger and destruction.
Yeah, for sure. But it's not all about just blowing stuff up, right? We'll unpack the key elements that make an action movie, from the classic hero's journey to the rise of the anti-hero, and how tech advancements, especially CGI, have completely transformed what we see on screen.
Speaking of technology, think about how CGI has revolutionized superhero movies. Before CGI, it was incredibly difficult to show Superman flying or Spider-Man swinging through the city. And now these characters can leap off the pages and onto the screen. It looks so real.
It's like our childhood fantasy of seeing our favorite heroes come to life. And it's not just the visuals either. CGI has really changed storytelling. Entire worlds, complex characters, these mind-boggling action sequences, things that were unimaginable before. They're now commonplace.
But it's not all about modern marvels either. Let's take a step back and look at the core of any action movie, the conflict. Usually, it's this classic hero versus villain scenario, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance.
Right, but it's not always black and white, is it? Think about a character like John Wick, essentially a retired hitman who's out for revenge. He's become this iconic anti-hero that everyone roots for. It's not just about the action, it's about his motivations, his code. He brings this emotional weight to his role.
It is interesting how anti-heroes have become so popular. In modern action movies, I mean. They challenge our expectations of what a good guy should be. They're flawed, they're morally gray. Sometimes their methods are kind of questionable, but, their motivations often resonate with audiences on a deeper level.
It's like we're more willing to accept that the line between good and evil, it's not always clear-cut. And these complex characters add depth. They make action movies more intriguing. They force us to confront our own values and beliefs.
Absolutely. They make us question who we're rooting for and why. And they offer a more nuanced perspective on things like justice, revenge, and just the nature of power.
And speaking of complex characters, let's not forget about the villains. They often drive the action. Think about Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight. He was more than just a villain. He was a force of chaos, a reflection of society's dark impulses.
The best villains. They aren't just obstacles for the hero to overcome. They challenge the hero's ideology. They force them to make hard choices, and they often mirror some aspect of the hero's own personality or their past.
It's like those classic literary rivalries. The hero and the villain are two sides of the same coin, each pushing the other to their limits. That tension, that clash of ideologies, it makes the conflict so much more engaging.
Precisely. It raises the stakes and forces us to confront uncomfortable questions about morality and the choices we make when we face extraordinary circumstances.
Now, Hollywood, of course, dominates the action movie scene, but we can't forget the contributions from other countries and their traditions. Think about the artistry and precision of Japanese samurai films, or the energy and spectacle of Hong Kong action cinema.
Absolutely. Those films bring such unique styles and perspectives to the genre, like samurai films, like Akira Kurosawa's Seven Samurai. They explore themes of honor, duty, and tradition through these amazing sword fights and epic battles.
And Hong Kong action cinema, with the focus on elaborate stunts and martial arts, and just the blend of humor and violence, it's influenced so many filmmakers all over the world, people like Quentin Tarantino and the Wachowskis.
It's a reminder that action cinema, it's truly a global thing. Every culture brings its own unique flavor and perspective.
And that's what makes exploring this genre so exciting. There's a whole world of action movies out there, films that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, make you think, and even challenge your ideas of what an action movie can be.
It's amazing how action movies, they can transport us to different worlds, like the gritty streets of a crime thriller, or like the fantastical realms of a superhero epic. Each subgenre brings its own set of rules and expectations.
Absolutely. Like when you think about a classic Western, you picture those sweeping landscapes, right? Gunfights at high noon, those morally ambiguous cowboys. But with a heart of gold, it's a genre deeply rooted in American history and mythology, but it still resonates with people today.
What I find interesting about Westerns is how they explore that tension between civilization and the wilderness, the individual versus the community, and that struggle to create an identity in a lawless land.
Yeah, it's like those themes of frontier justice and self-reliance. It speaks to something in us, even in our modern world. Speaking of modern, the evolution of special effects has had a huge impact on action movies. Think about those early silent films. Action was limited to what they could actually do.
Exactly. But then sound came, and color, and eventually CGI. The possibilities for creating spectacular and mind-boggling action just exploded. We went from Buster Keaton hanging off a clock tower to Tom Cruise scaling the Burj Khalifa in Mission Impossible.
It's like each technological advancement, it pushed the boundaries of what we could see, bigger, bolder, more visually stunning action sequences. And it's not just about spectacle either. Special effects can really improve storytelling, immersing us in these crazy worlds, making us believe the impossible.
Like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, for example.
Yeah.
Those films blended practical effects with CGI, created a really immersive experience. They took us to Middle-earth. And the action, from those huge battles to the escapes, they were thrilling. But they were also emotionally resonant.
It's like the technology disappeared, and we were able to just enjoy the story, engage with the characters without questioning if it was real or not. Speaking of immersive worlds, we can't forget about the impact video games have had on action movies.
For sure. Video games have changed everything, from how things look to the stories in modern action movies, the way action is shown, the quick cuts, those dynamic camera angles, even the structure of some action scenes. It's all inspired by video games.
It's like filmmakers are using the interactivity from video games to create a more intense and immediate experience. And some filmmakers, like Neil Blomkamp with District 9, they've put video game-inspired visuals right into their films.
It is fascinating to see these different mediums inspiring each other, pushing the boundaries of storytelling and visual spectacle in really interesting ways.
So, we've talked about the evolution of action movies, the influence of technology, and some of the people behind these films. But let's get back to what gets us excited, those unforgettable action sequences.
Oh yeah, the moments that make you hold on tight
Yeah.
and say, how did they do that? The car chases that break the rules of physics, the fight scenes that are like dances of violence and beauty, and those explosions. That you can almost feel.
Think about that truck chase in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's a masterclass in building suspense. They use practical effects.
Yeah.
Creative a feeling of pure excitement.
It's like they threw everything they had at that scene.
Yeah.
And it's still so exciting to watch, even today. That's how you know it's a great action sequence. It stands the test of time.
And speaking of memorable action sequences, we can't forget the fight choreography in The Matrix. It was like watching a video game come to life.
Yeah. The Wachowskis really changed the game with The Matrix. They mixed martial arts and gunplay. It was a seamless and stunning spectacle. It was a game changer. So many filmmakers and action choreographers followed suit.
It's like they took action movies and gave them a shot of adrenaline, pushing what we could believe.
And it wasn't just the visuals. The Matrix also dealt with philosophy. Ideas about reality, free will, even the nature of consciousness. It added another layer to the action.
It's like they took the hero's journey and put it in this mind-bending sci-fi world. They made an action movie that was entertaining, but also thought-provoking, which is hard to do. It's really interesting. As we've been exploring action movies, it's clear that this genre, it's way more than just explosions and car chases. It's like a reflection of our culture, our fears, and what we want.
Definitely. Action movies often show us what's going on in society, technological advances, even how our morals are changing. They're a powerful way to look at the world around us.
Think about all those dystopian action films lately, like The Hunger Games and Divergent. They tap into those fears about control, like environmental collapse and fighting for freedom in oppressive systems.
It is fascinating how those movies connect with young people who are figuring out who they are in a world that feels kind of scary and overwhelming.
It's like action movies. They let us release those anxieties. We experience rebellion and resilience, hope, even when things seem impossible.
And, technology keeps changing so fast. It's interesting to think about how action movies will adapt. We're already seeing virtual reality, an augmented reality. That could change how we watch action movies.
Imagine stepping into your favorite action film, feeling the rush of a car chase, or experiencing a fight scene firsthand. It's crazy to think about.
It does raise questions, though. Will VR make movies better or worse? Will we be more passive? Or will it be a more active experience?
And how will filmmakers change how they tell stories? For these new technologies, will the old ways still work? Or will we see more interactive and personal experiences?
Those are questions filmmakers and audiences are both thinking about. It's an exciting time to be an action movie fan. The genre keeps changing, embracing new tech, and redefining what's possible.
So, as we wrap up our look at action movies, I want to leave you with this. Action movies are about pushing boundaries, doing the unexpected, and just pure entertainment.
Yeah, it's about celebrating what humans can do, reminding us that even when things seem impossible, we can find a way to overcome, to fight for what we believe in, and to win.
Keep exploring action movies. Find the films that get your adrenaline going, and keep believing in the power of action to inspire, to entertain.
And to leave you in awe.
Who knows what's next? The possibilities really are endless.